have been talking and talking and talking, and I'm not even on the screen. Am I on the screen? I wasn't even on the screen. Y'all, we are back. I have got to. Hey, Pretty Eye Shanny. Hey, Tanya. Hey, OG Woo Child. Y'all, I have got to be more current with stuff. I need to be more on trend with stuff. I want this channel to boom. I want it to bang. I want to. And I can do it with the slow burns, but I got to be more on with my finger on the pulse of current trials. And so this trial started today, state of Florida versus Jermaine Bass. It's a young black defendant who they saying unalive one of his kids, shot two of his kids, and he's saying that it was an accident. Right? So I was saying, and I put it on my wall. I say, well, we're gonna start this next month. Meaning next month. I say, no, then the more I thought about it and looked at it, I say I'm insane. Why in the hell do I want to start something next month that started today? Court TV got 3.5 thousand people over there watching it. Quite honestly, I'm a black commentator. It's a black trial. I want to, not saying it's a racist channel, but I do want to attract like-minded people. Hey, Sean P. So I was like, Demetra, let's go and get on top of this. Let's introduce this to the Little Jury Box. Let's see what's going on. And let's get into it, because I might have to, the pardons and parole stuff, that's the type of content I need to be doing in between trials. I'm just like, anywho, so let's just try to catch like a little bit about the trial. I shared a short. Let's watch this short and get a little bit of information.
2022, just after 10:30 p.m. shots ring out at the Armature Gate townhomes in Tampa. August 29th, 2020. Okay, so this is a little bit of the
case information.
August 29th, 2022, just after 10:30 p.m. shots ring out at the Armature Gate townhomes in Tampa, Florida. Police arrive and find Shirley Bass hysterical.
The mom was outside. She was crying, asking about her kids.
When they enter her home, they see her husband, 30-year-old Jermaine Bass, sitting on the couch holding the couple's 8-year-old son. The boy's head is wrapped in a towel with visible blood. He says his head hurts. According to court documents, Bass tells the officers he was removing a magazine from his firearm when it went off. At this point, officers think they're dealing with a horrible accident.
The husband says, my 5-year-old daughter's upstairs sleeping. Deputies go upstairs only to make the gruesome discovery that there's a 5-year-old laying in a top bunk, laying in a pool of her own blood.
So how the hell could it be an accident?
Both children were shot multiple times in the head. Neighbors say Jermaine's behavior at the scene was odd.
He was calm. He seemed calm to me. We were all the way down here and he was a few feet down there, but he seemed calm. The mom was hysterical, but he seemed rather calm. I didn't hear his voice, nothing.
Court records show hints of a tumultuous relationship between Shirley and Jermaine Bass. Months before the shooting, he had filed for divorce. The night of the shooting, Shirley Bass had gone out with friends, and while she was away, there were numerous calls between her and her husband.
He shot them kids as a
the shooting happened minutes after she returned home. 5-year-old Jayla was pronounced dead at the hospital. Her brother required surgery, but survived. Shirley Bass has since filed for and has been granted a divorce from Jermaine.
Guess so.
2 innocent children put to bed,
only to awaken to the sound of gunfire.
Now a father stands trial accused of shooting his own kids in their bunk beds, killing one.
I hope that this individual feels the full weight of the criminal justice system and never sees the light of day.
Court TV takes you inside this tragic case,
as a jury must now decide the fate of this father.
Yeah, so this trial just started today, right? So let's check out the opening statements and let's see, because yeah, this is the type of trial it's just starting. We need to be watching this during our daytime trial. Honestly, let's see. I'm gonna do. Child, I'm just like, golly, I got to do a better job at staying on with my finger on the pulse of when stuff is happening. I was supposed to know about this trial already coming. I'm supposed to already done my research, but that's okay. That's okay. We're gonna get it. It's a new channel. It's a new channel. So we finna get into these opening arguments. And there he go. All right, so this is one of the trials. I try to space them out with children victims. I try to space them out. There's been a lot of space in between. This is the state of Florida versus Jermaine Bass. He is accused of shooting one child and injuring and unaliving another one. Somehow, some way, he says it was an accident. How you can shoot multiple children multiple times and it be an accident, I don't know. We shall see. But we finna hear the opening arguments. I'm just now learning about this trial, so we are watching. This is a live reaction. It started today. And we will be following this trial starting tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. I will be covering they calling it the Bedtime murder trial. Okay? Fair use is in play. Opening statements. I'm learning about this case right along with you guys. Please hit the like.
The gun discharged. It was an accidental discharge. I was trying to take out the magazine and it went off. They was both in bed. I was in their room. Where was your wife? She was in her room. Those are the words, ladies and gentlemen, of that man seated right over there, Jermaine Bass. Those were the words he told those deputies when they arrived and found these children shot in the head. That was his explanation to them of why two children were shot in the head.
Welcome back,
Accident
Vixen.
discharge. I was trying to take out the magazine and it went off. That was his explanation. Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to see this was no accident. This was not an accident. You're also going to hear, he will tell them where the gun is. In the dresser, upstairs, the silver dresser. You're going to hear him tell them. And sure enough, they go there, they find that gun. And ladies and gentlemen, that gun is the murder weapon. That is the gun that fired the bullets into Jayla Bass and killed her. And the evidence is going to show that. He told them right where that gun was, right next to his wallet. You will not only hear these things, you will see him say these things to the deputies when they arrive on scene. You're going to hear from some of the responding deputies that arrived. These deputies wear what are called body-worn cameras. These cameras capture interactions with citizens, interactions during events. They come on generally when they're responding to a scene. They're not on all the time, but they come on when they're responding to a scene. And these came on for some of these deputies. So you are going to see Jermaine Bass that night. You're going to hear his explanation to the deputies of how both his children ended up shot in the head. What you will not hear from him are any questions about how is his daughter doing? How is his son doing?
Objection. Improper argument.
Sustained.
You will never hear him say it was anyone else other than it was an accidental discharge while I was taking out the magazine. That's what you will hear. But the evidence will show you, ladies and gentlemen, this was no accidental discharge. 5 shots from that Glock. 4 hit their target. 3 of them went into the head of Jayla Bass, his daughter, his 5-year-old daughter, as she lay in the bed right next to her brother, who was also shot in the head, in the temple. These were aimed, they were precise, they were targeted right to the most crucial part of the body, the head. 5 shots, 4 in the head. That's what the evidence is going to show you, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, Peach Cobbler, thank you for joining.
On August 29th of 2022, this defendant right here walked into that bedroom where these 2 little children were laying in their bed, and he shot 5 times into their heads. Why this man would take the life of his 5-year-old daughter, Jayla Bass, and attempt to take the life of his 8-year-old son, Jermaine Bass, we may not know. We may never know. But remember, ladies and gentlemen, I told you during voir dire that we don't have to prove motive. But ladies and gentlemen, you will hear some evidence. You will hear some evidence that something was not right in the Bass household. Something was not going right there. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the evidence is going to show you that this house involved Jermaine Bass, who lived there with his wife, Shirley Bass, and their daughter, Jayla, and the son, Jermaine, as well. And it might get a little confusing, ladies and gentlemen, so I'm going to probably call the son JJ. That's kind of the nickname they gave him, because both the son and father are both named Jermaine Bass, and there's no like junior or anything like that. So if you hear me from time to time use the word JJ, I'm referring to the son. So on this date, on August 29th of 2022, you're going to hear that Shirley Bass, the wife, went by herself to a birthday dinner for her sister. You're going to hear that that evening she left around 6 o'clock. She drove down, and where this happened is on Heritage Club. And I believe I told you about this during voir dire. This is an area up near USF. It's up near the Advent Hospital up there on Bruce B. Downs and Fletcher. Right kind of behind there, back in the little neighborhood there. And these are like townhomes that they lived in, okay? It's got an upstairs where the children's bedroom is, and there's a downstairs where it's kind of the kitchen and like a kind of a great room. And you're gonna hear that she left at 6. In fact, you'll see video of her car, her white Mercedes pulling out and heading towards Ruth's Chris Steakhouse down on West Shore. Okay, so she had to go all the way down Fletcher, get on 275, go all the way down to West Shore, if you all are familiar with the area, and then go to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, where she was meeting the family for a celebration dinner for her sister. You're going to hear from some people who were at that dinner, and they will tell you Shirley was happy, everything seemed fine. Shirley goes there that night with her niece, China Gadsden, and you're going to hear from China Gadsden as well. All right? She's going to tell you that they were having a wonderful time. As Shirley went, and they had dinner, and everyone was getting along very well. Jermaine was not there. He was supposed to be home taking care of the kids. But he was not home taking care of the kids. The evidence is going to show that he left those kids, drove all the way to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Basically followed Shirley Bass. Why? We don't know, ladies and gentlemen. But he did. The phone records will conclusively show that he left. We also have video of his Nissan truck pulling out and leaving that residence, not long after Shirley leaves. You're going to hear from China that when they were driving away, as they were leaving Ruth's Chris, there was this truck behind her that was really driving aggressively and scaring her. She didn't know what was going on. It's tailgating her. So just as she's pulling onto the on-ramp to get on the interstate, this truck is right on her tail, and she's scared. So she stops the car. This truck pulls around her and stops in front. And who gets out of that car? Jermaine Bass. Gets out of that car angry and goes up to the driver's door, thinking that it would be his wife in the driver's seat, but it was China. So he looks at his wife and says, "Are you drunk?" He then goes back into his car and drives away. Don't know why that was, but it's clear, ladies and gentlemen, there was some problems going on in that household. There is evidence to show that there was something going on in that household. And Jermaine Bass, the defendant here, was not happy about it. So you're going to hear that they drive home. Shirley drops off China at her house, which she lived up in that same sort of area. And she goes home. And you're going to see video from an apartment complex. And this video is part of it shows the parking lot area in front of the residence where Shirley and Jermaine lived. And you're going to see the defendant pull in this big truck, park the truck, go inside. A few minutes later, you're going to see Shirley's car pull up. She's going to park the car, and then she goes in. Less than 8 minutes later, you're going to see Shirley Bass outside, looking for help, frantic. Shots had rang out.
Hey, living.
Just a few minutes from coming home from this dinner to celebrate her sister. Shots. Those are the shots that killed Jayla. And seriously hurt Jermaine, JJ. You're going to see video of her out there walking around, looking for help. You're going to hear from one of her neighbors, Daquan Evans, who's going to tell you that he heard these shots. It woke him up. So he walks outside and he sees Shirley Bass. And he's on the phone calling 911 and letting them know, I've heard shots in my neighborhood. And you're going to hear that 911 call. And you will hear Daquan Evans, and then you will hear Shirley get on that phone call. You're going to hear a woman who's frantic, hysterical. It's a very difficult, hard to understand conversation. But you're going to hear her screaming, my family, you need to get down here. I need help. And she's on that phone with 911. Is the defendant calling 911? No, but you're going to hear evidence that he called another number. After shooting these children, he calls another number, doesn't even call 911. So Shirley's out there, and you're going to hear the whole 911 call. It'll go into evidence. You will have it back there to listen to when you go back and deliberate later in this trial. And you're going to hear that around the 2-minute mark, 2:40 minutes, 2 minutes to 2:40, something changes in Shirley Bass. And based on the video you're going to see of her out there on the phone when she's talking to 911, and at one point she starts jumping. But you're going to see that the door opens up to the house of Shirley and Jermaine, and she walks over there. And right about that time, you're going to hear Shirley Bass on that phone screaming at somebody, what the fuck is wrong with you? She's yelling at that man right there, Jermaine Bass. May not be clear if she knows what he's done, but she knows he's done something. And she screams, what the fuck is wrong with you? She says it a couple of times. So you're going to hear that 911 call on that night. And then after that 911 call, the deputies arrive. And this is where you'll see what the deputies see when they get there. You're going to get to see it. Because this body-worn camera, it's going to take you into the house. It's going to take you into the apartment. And you're going to see how they walk in there. You're going to see Jermaine Bass holding JJ. And JJ's got a bullet hole to his head. He's still coherent. He's still alive. And he's in pain because he's saying, ow, my head. And Jermaine's just holding him. And they ask him, is there anyone else here? He says, no. So these deputies are clearing the house. And they do what they do when they come into a house and they don't know the situation. They want to make sure they know where everyone is. So they go and check out the rooms, make sure they clear the rooms. And they're going to tell you all about that. That's when they go upstairs and they go into the child's room. And suddenly one of them notices. It's a little girl. And you're going to hear her. You're going to hear the moment you notice her. And you're going to hear him go, sweetie. And you will see from the body-worn camera, the deputy reach over to take her off that bed. And he will tell you how he takes her off the bed and brings her down, and they try to administer life-saving support for her, but it's too late. But you will see her position. You will see her curled in that bed with blood all around her. This is what those deputies saw on that day. So they take her out. They take Jermaine away. The ambulance arrives and they get him out of there. And then you're going to see the defendant calmly telling him those things that I told you. I was unloading the magazine and it went off. So at this point, they start to collect the physical evidence, and this is where you're going to see all the physical evidence that was collected in this case. You're going to see the shell casings, 5 shell casings that belong to a .380 Glock. All 5 shell casings were found on the bed, the bunk bed in the room. This is a bunk bed. 4 of the casings are found in the top bunk, 1 of the casings is found in the bottom bunk. So again, this is a crime scene. Children have been removed to hopefully save them. And now they are securing the crime scene and they're reviewing all the evidence. And this is what they find. They find damage hole to one of the walls where a bullet clearly went through. And you're going to see that it did go through, and it goes into the bathroom, and the adjoining bathroom, and it goes through that bathroom and into the wall. And they're able to obtain that projectile. You're going to see pictures of the condition of the residence at that time. You're going to see pictures of a lot of blood, and I want to warn you that you will, okay? But it's important that you pay attention to those pictures and look at those pictures. You're going to hear from a DNA expert. The Glock is found exactly where the defendant said it would be, in the silver dresser, right next to his wallet. And that Glock is taken out. It's looked at. The magazine in it is now empty. There's no other ammunition in the Glock. And they take that Glock in, and it gets analyzed. The comparison is done with the shell casings, and yes, they match. Those shell casings found in the room were in fact fired from that firearm. And you're going to have the firearms expert who's going to testify to you and explain to you how they know that. You'll also hear that the gun was swabbed. And what that means is they take like a solution or water and they rub it on the gun at different areas to determine whether they can pick up any DNA. And you're going to hear that on the grip and trigger, it's combined, so we don't know if it's both or so. But on the grip / trigger, as well as on the base of the gun where the magazine is put in, they're able to obtain DNA. And the DNA does match, in fact, Jermaine Bass. But there's one other source of the DNA, and you're going to hear that it matches the son, JJ, the other Jermaine Bass. Now, I want you to listen to that expert, and she's going to testify to you, and she's also explain to you about transfer DNA and how that occurs. If you touch someone and they're sweating or their skin cells get on you, and then you touch an object, you can transfer that person's DNA. Any bodily fluid can transfer the DNA to that property. And you're going to hear from that DNA expert who's going to explain all that to you. You're also going to hear, ladies and gentlemen, from a lady by the name of Anna Cox, who's what's called a blood spatter expert or blood stain expert. She's going to tell you and talk to you about those pictures and the blood analysis that she shows. What she will tell you is that both of these children were shot right next to each other. That their heads literally had to be almost touching. You're going to hear about what's called blood spatter, but it's where when a person is shot, the blood, once a bullet enters, has to expel from the body. And when it does, it creates a pattern. She's going to explain all that to you. And you're going to hear that the only place that pattern appears is on that top bunk, on the corner, by the wall, and on the railing there. The DNA on that spot matches the DNA of Jayla Bass and JJ, Jermaine Bass. She's going to tell you they were right next to each other when they were shot. The last moments of Jayla's life was laying in that bed next to her big brother. You're going to hear about other blood. The blood drips down from the bed to the lower bunk bed, creating other patterns. So she's going to describe all that to you. Ladies and gentlemen, her father, the owner of that gun, wanted these deputies to believe this was an accident.
Objection, improper argument.
Overruled.
That is what he told them. In those initial moments when the deputies arrived, that's what he tells them. This was an accident. An accidental discharge of 5 rounds. This isn't an automatic gun where you hold it down and it just fires repeatedly. You're going to hear from the firearms expert. Every single one of those 5 shots had to pull that trigger. Every single one. It's not that if you hold it down, it'll go off. You're going to hear from this firearms expert. This was no accident, ladies and gentlemen. Not even close. This was a deliberate, intentional, premeditated act to kill those 2 children. Done by that man right there, Jermaine Bass. The state has no doubt, ladies and gentlemen, the conclusion of the evidence in this case, that you will find the defendant guilty as charged of first-degree murder, guilty as charged of aggravated child abuse, 2 counts, and guilty as charged of attempted first-degree murder. Thank you.
Would the defense like to make an opening statement at this time?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Good morning. Jermaine Bass, my client, did not shoot his children. What happened on August 29, 2022 was tragic. And you're going to hear a lot of testimony about what happened on that day. And a lot we are not going to be in dispute about with the state. Where it happened, what time it happened, how many shots were fired, things of that nature. You're going to see that there's not a lot that we're going to be disputing about. But the most important part, we are. Who was responsible? Who fired the gun that injured Jayla and JJ Bass? You're going to hear the evidence because as the judge instructed you, what we say is not evidence. The evidence you're going to hear from the witness stand and from the exhibits in this case. And when you hear the evidence, pay close attention to the timeline of the events. When Shirley calls 911 and you're going to hear that call, she is not asking for police. She's asking for an ambulance. She's asking for medical help repeatedly, and you will hear it for yourself. Mr. Terry stood up here and said that he wants you to believe that it's an accident, but pay attention to what Shirley says as well about what happened. The 911 operator is continuously asking her, who fired the gun? Did somebody drive by? And pay attention to what her answers are close in time to the events. When police start their investigation, pay attention to who the police are able to talk to right away and who they have to wait to speak to. This story about Jermaine on the highway with China Gadsden and Shirley Bass doesn't come to police attention until over a year after the incident. Pay attention to who's cooperating. You'll hear from the lead detective in the case and the efforts that he made to speak to Jermaine, to JJ, and to speak to Shirley about what happened. You'll hear, obviously, that after this happened and JJ was injured, he was in the hospital for a while. And then they made efforts to speak to him once he was released. You'll hear from Detective Gabbott that Shirley was uncooperative when they tried to interview her son, that they were not able to investigate her phone because she never turned it over to law enforcement for them to look at any kind of communications that were happening that night. Shirley does not call 911 from her phone. She goes across, and the phone that she is using to dial 911 is Mr. Evans' phone, an across the street neighbor. You're going to hear that Detective Gabot had difficulty reaching out to Shirley, that they made efforts to interview JJ at the Mary Lee house. And the Mary Lee house is a location where law enforcement routinely interviews children because they're treated differently than an adult witness. And you'll hear that the first time they set it up, Shirley came, but then refused to let the interview happen.
Hey, Tweety, if you're still here.
Then they tried again that afternoon, and you'll hear that JJ was disruptive, that he refused, that he walked away, and he didn't talk to them. They tried to set it up again on a later date, and he did not appear. Finally, detectives had to serve Shirley with an investigative subpoena. They tried to get her to cooperate voluntarily, but then they were trying to force it. An investigative subpoena is not an invitation, it's a demand. So she brings him in. And when they do, he says that he does not remember what happened on that night. And that's where we're left. You're not going to hear from JJ because the state and I, the defense, agree that if he was to come in, all he would say is that he doesn't remember what happened that night. So you're not going to hear from him. My client was cooperative with law enforcement. You're going to see how he brings his son down from the bedroom after his son is injured and is waiting downstairs while Shirley goes and calls 911 to get an ambulance to help him. He stays with his son. You'll see the interaction that he has with law enforcement. And pay attention to the evidence and the investigation that's done at the scene. As Mr. Terry told you, there's blood evidence at the scene. There's testing that's done. There's additional testing that is done because it's confusing. Children were moved. And so there's a question as to where things happen. And so the additional testing that was done in this case helps give you a clearer picture of what happened in that room. You'll see a purse that was found in the children's room that belonged to Shirley that has ammunition in it, and a holster, and a magazine. You'll also see an empty holster and a child's bassinet that's in the kid's bedroom, along with a little plate that has some eaten food on it. Pay attention to the inconsistencies in the testimony and the evidence. Listen not only to the answers that the witnesses say when the state asks questions, but also when we ask questions. There'll be different versions told by the witnesses and the evidence in the case. Listen with a critical ear. Use your discernment and your common sense in this case. Pay attention to where everyone is when shots are fired, what they saw and what they heard. The gun that was recovered in the master bedroom and the dresser, the testing that was done on the scene. And as the state told you, you're going to hear that not only was Jermaine, my client's DNA on the gun, but JJ's gun. And pay attention to why that area is swabbed. There's different areas that are swabbed, and the grip and the trigger are swabbed to determine who's handling the gun. That's why those areas are swabbed. And JJ's DNA is on that gun. In the end, you're going to have more questions in this case than answers. The state is going to try very hard, as you heard in opening statement, to try to convince you that my client shot his children that night. What they say is not evidence in the case or the true facts. The evidence comes from the witnesses, and you all were selected to determine what the true facts are in this case. Your job is the toughest job in this room. You have to determine what happened on a day that you were not there with people that you do not know. And it's going to be difficult, and it's going to be hard. It's going to be emotional testimony, but you were picked for a reason. You agreed not to base your decision on sympathy or bias. You agreed to hold the state to their burden in this case. And you agreed to presume my client innocent. As difficult as it might be, that is your job as a juror. What happened on that day is very tragic and sad, but my client did not shoot his children. You will understand why he said what he said to police. At the end of the case, after listening to all the evidence and the law, you will agree and find Jermaine Bass not guilty. Thank you.
Wow. Okay, coming in blind, don't know anything about the case, hadn't done any research, only listening to, well, we saw that short, right? And I was inclined to just say, oh, he did it from that short I saw, but right now, haven't heard nothing but these two opening statements. I feel like I'm open-minded right now. I guess because of the fact that the defense even had the audacity to pull out some other possible shooters. You know, I'm willing to listen. Went to say, let's see how long your unbiased is. And tell you, like, I'm so confused because they try to blame it on and say that the mom could have done it, surely. And then it also sounds like for a minute there, I don't know if I'm misunderstanding or something, but it sounds like the defense is even saying that JJ, which is the 8-year-old son, at one point in time had the gun in his hand. Very interesting. Let's see. Let's check it out. Let's continue. New trial just started today. State of Florida versus, what's his name? Jermaine Bass. We'll watch, watch these opening statements, watch a couple of first witnesses, but I'm telling you now, I will be covering this trial starting tomorrow morning at 11 a.m., maybe 10. I'll schedule it, but I will be covering this trial. We will be starting it each daytime. I'll be covering this during a daytime trial watch. Okay, I didn't know about it, but now we know, we own it.
Thank you. State can call your first witness.
Consider call Rebecca McElman.
Right here. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Which I gotta do my description box and my tags.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
If you would please introduce yourself and spell your name for us.
I'm Rebecca McLeman, MacLeman, and I'm the 911 records custodian for Hillsborough County
Hey,
Sheriff's
Star
Office.
Bell, I saw you in my comments earlier for the
All right,
replay.
McLean.
Thank you.
Ms. McLean, I was just about to ask you, what do you do? And you were, what are the jobs and duties of a records custodian of 911 at the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office?
I save all calls as requested.
Okay. And is that part of your regular course of business, what you do is routinely?
It is.
Okay. And explain to the jury, if you can, how these 911 calls are recorded, how they come in, and all of that.
They're recorded automatically from the time that the call is answered and then end when the call is disconnected. In that call, we get all kinds of information, date, time, call taker, location, phone number, address, and any other information that we may gain from that.
All right. Now, you're
No problem, BA says. This is a pop-up live. You know, I didn't expect them to come back till 7, but lo and behold, this trial started on today. I know, Winter, right? But this trial started today. Right now, she just qualifying herself as a attendant over the 911 records, okay? But this is the state of Florida versus Jermaine Bass. He is accused of shooting both of his children, a daughter of 5, Jayla, who's now deceased, a son, Jermaine Jr., JJ, 8 years old. Apparently, both kids got shot in the head, the daughter 3 times, the son 1 time. The father, who's on trial now, says it was an accident. He was removing the magazine from his gun. We just heard opening statements. The defense says, did Jermaine really shoot him? Or was it another shooter? Was it the wife, Shirley? Trial just starting. Thank y'all for joining. I did my pantry this weekend, living. I didn't know I was coming back either, Kathy. I hope you just heard the recap. We had an emergency come in trial. I didn't know this trial started today. State of Florida versus Jermaine Jackson, accused of unaliving his daughter, 5-year-old Jayla, shooting his 8-year-old son in the head. Shot 5 times. 3 of them hit the daughter. 1 shot hit the son. He says it was an accident. We just heard opening statements. The defense put up an interesting argument. Who really shot the kids? They speculated that, do we know it was Jermaine or could it have been the wife? Okay, 911 call.
Monday, August 29, 2022, 22:33 and 42 seconds. 911, do you need police, fire, or medical?
Hey, how you doing? It's an emergency. I heard some gunshots in my neighborhood.
Okay, let's
13915, Aberdeen, Heritage Club Drive, Central Florida.
This is a house, mobile home, or apartment?
An apartment I heard outside.
Okay, how many shots did you hear?
I heard a couple, but maybe downstairs said something bad is happening. I don't know. I just heard gunshots. I did.
Okay, do you know what area it's coming from? Like, is it coming from 137, 42nd, any specific area?
No, just in the neighborhood.
Okay. How long ago did you hear
Just like 2 minutes ago.
them? Okay. Now, after you heard the shot, did you see or hear anything else suspicious? Somebody screaming, a car that sped off really quickly, anything like that?
Yeah, she right here right now.
Okay. Do you want to put her on the phone?
Yeah. Want me on the phone? Yeah.
Sheriff's office, can you tell me what happened? Okay, what happened? Yes, I'm getting them on the phone, okay? What happened? Okay, hold on, ma'am, I can't understand a word you're saying because you're crying. Okay, ma'am, hold on. Take a deep breath. I can't understand you when you're crying like that. Take a deep breath. What happened?
Listen, I didn't need you for something, whatever for the actor say. Just please.
What happened? I have to call it. What happened? Did somebody get shot?
Someone shot.
Someone shot who?
Oh,
Yes, ma'am. Take a deep breath. Ma'am, listen. Stop. Ma'am. Stop talking and breathe. Just stop talking and breathe. Yes, I understand, ma'am. I can't understand you.
In this house.
Okay.
I do not know what fucking happened. Okay, I'm in.
All right, I'm getting you on the phone with you, ma'am. Ma'am. Ma'am, what's going on? Where's the gun? Ma'am. Hello, ma'am. Ma'am, stop yelling and talk to me. Who has a gun? Ma'am. Ma'am, the cops are already on the way. You need to answer my question. So who has a gun? Ma'am, stop yelling and talk to me. Who has a gun? Okay, where is he bleeding? Ma'am, the call's already in.
Now, let me ask you, there's a pause right here. What is that?
She disconnected.
Okay. And then she calls back, or someone from that number calls back, is that correct?
Correct.
Number one, you need police, fire, or medical. Hello? Hello, ma'am. Okay, I have deputies on the way. Where is he shot at? Okay. Okay, the ambulance and cops are on the way. Where is he shot?
Oh my God, in his head. Can you fucking call?
Okay, who shot him in the head?
Oh my God.
Who shot him in the head, ma'am? Okay, nobody, was it a car that drove by?
No.
Okay, is this somebody you know? Somebody from the house?
Yeah, we was in the house. Put him in the fucking gun out, and I found red.
Where did he go?
He was supposed to be in bed, but he wasn't asleep.
Okay, the person with the gun, where is he at right now? Tell me. Ma'am, I have every deputy on the way right now. I need to know where the person with the gun is. Ma'am. Ma'am, stop yelling. Ma'am, what's the house number that he's at? I have a call in.
139.
139 what? What is it, 13915? Okay. Ma'am, I'm trying to get the guy who did this, and I need to know where he is with the gun. Ma'am, they're coming. The police and the ambulance are on the way. Okay, well, they're coming. They're coming, license, sirens, emergency. So where's the dad with the gun? Ma'am, where's the subject with the gun? I got 2 deputies on Brewski Downs right now, so I need to know where the guy with the gun is. They're both coming. The police need to secure the scene so the EMS people are safe. I need to know where the guy with the gun is. Okay, the person with the gun, where is he?
And it cuts off there. Was that, who hung up there?
She did.
Okay. All right, Judge, I don't have any further questions of this witness.
All right.
Morning.
Very briefly. So this is 2 separate calls because you have the first call, there was a hang up, and then the person calls back. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. I don't have any other questions.
All right.
Excuse me. I have a lot of questions. None of that sounds right. I get it. Who wouldn't be distraught? Who wouldn't have a high level of emotions in this type of horrible situation, or something not even as horrible as this? Right? But it's not making sense to me. If you listen to that first, the first, okay, I heard the first one I heard was the man on the phone, and he said it was a neighbor, and he heard about 4 shots, 2, 3, 4 shots. And then I heard the woman on the phone, it was her, supposed to be the mama, the wife. And when she first got on the 911 call, she was mumbling and shit. And she literally did that for like a fucking minute. And that's when I first typed in, I don't get this shit. You know, you got kids down, you got this stressful situation. I understand all that. I understand. But if it's a 911 situation, you the only thing stand between you and your kids or your whoever getting some goddamn help. I think I would manage to at least get the address out. And then she couldn't even get the address out for the first full minute. Nothing discernible. But then the first things you hear is her cussing and ranting. Now, this ain't no judgment on her, but we just listening to this. That shit sounds strange as hell. Let me say, I thought she was in shock and and they were dead. All the other stuff was weird. And see, the son was still alive. Tanya said she didn't mention the daughter at all. Let me say, yeah, she all over the place. I'm definitely going to do an upload with just the 911 call, okay? Because that's going to, we have to hear that again at a later date. All y'all can listen to it. But that was strange. And it make me suspicious of her ass.
Is she released? All right, you could step down and
she literally threatened to pretty much sue 911 and shit.
Call your next witness.
They were called Daquan Evans.
And then when they asked her what's the address, she couldn't get an address, but she could say, if y'all motherfuckers don't come here, you know what I'm saying? Who does that? VA say she was doing. Demetria, it's hard to say how anyone would react in 911.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and
okay,
nothing but the
Renee.
truth? Thank you, sir.
But bump all that, Winter. You got to, if it's just you, between you saving the life of your child on that 911 call, all that other bullshit is for nothing. Okay? Absolutely for nothing. But then again, that's just how I am. So, you know, I just don't, like I said, when I typed it, I don't get how people can't pull it together in the face of a goddamn emergency. Like for real. In the case of if you got enough sense to call 911, you would think you're pulling enough together to give at least the goddamn addresses. So I just don't get that personally. I just cannot. I'm not saying everybody be cool, calm, and collected, but she was doing a whole lot of other shit real cool, calm, and collected. She was doing all that cussing real cool, calm. Let me rewind them 911 taps. Shit. Hold on. Welcome to Trial Watch with Demetra.
There's blood evidence. You have to.
Routinely?
It is.
Okay. And how, to explain to the jury if you can, how these 911 calls.
Just like 2 minutes.
Okay. Here we go. 911 calls. I'm gonna be quiet.
Played it earlier.
You gotta project it up.
I'll project it up.
I just heard that.
Okay, do you know what area it's coming from? Like, is it coming from 137, 20?
Monday, August 29, 2022, 22:33 and 42 seconds.
911, do you need police, fire, or medical?
Hey, how you doing? It's an emergency. I heard some gunshots in my neighborhood.
Okay, let's.
13915, American Heritage Club Drive, Hampton, Florida.
This is a house, mobile home, or apartment?
An apartment I heard outside.
Okay, how many shots did you hear?
I heard a couple, but a lady downstairs said something bad is happening. I don't know. I just heard gunshots. I did.
Okay, do you know what area it's coming from? Like, is it coming from 137, 42nd, any specific area?
No, just in the neighborhood.
Okay. How long ago did you hear them?
Just like 2 minutes ago.
Okay. Now, after you heard the shot, did you see or hear anything else suspicious? Somebody screaming, a car that sped off really quickly, anything like that?
Oh, yeah, she right there right now.
Okay. Do you want to put her on the phone?
Want me on the phone? Yeah.
Sheriff's office, can you tell me what happened? Okay, what happened? Yes, but I'm getting them on the phone, okay? What happened? Okay, hold on, ma'am, I can't understand a word you're saying because you're crying. Okay, ma'am, hold on. Take a PD breath. I can't understand you when you're crying like that. Take a PD breath. What happened?
Listen, I just need you to tell me whatever for the address say. Just please.
What happened? I have to call it. What happened? Did somebody get shot?
Someone shot.
Someone shot who? Yes, ma'am, take a PD breath. Ma'am, listen, stop, ma'am. Stop talking and breathe. Just stop talking and breathe.
Sir, do you not fucking understand?
Yes, I understand, ma'am. I can't understand you.
In this house.
Okay.
I do not know what fucking happened. Okay, I can't.
All right, I'm getting you on the phone. Ma'am. Ma'am. Ma'am, what's going on? Where's the gun? Ma'am. Hello, ma'am. Ma'am, stop yelling and talk to me. Who has a gun? Ma'am, the cops are already on the way. You need to answer my question. So who has a gun? Ma'am. Stop yelling and talk to me. Who's got the gun? Okay, where is he bleeding? Ma'am, the call's already in.
Now let me ask you, there's a pause right here. What is that?
She disconnected.
Okay. And then she calls back, or someone from that number calls back. Is that correct?
Hey Lou, I'm gonna put the facts on the screen for you.
Number one, do you need police, fire, or medical? Hello? Hello, ma'am. Okay, I have deputies on the way. Where is he shot at? Okay. Okay, the ambulance and cops are on the way. Where is he shot?
Oh my God, in his head.
Okay, who shot him in the head? Who shot him in the head, ma'am? Okay, nobody, was it a car that drove by?
No.
Okay, is this somebody you know? Somebody from the house?
Yeah, we was in the house. Put him in the fucking gun out, and I found ran.
Where did he go?
He was supposed to be in bed, but he wasn't asleep.
Okay, the person with the gun, where is he at right now? Tell me. Ma'am, I have every deputy on the way right now. I need to know where the person with the gun is. Ma'am. Ma'am, stop yelling. Ma'am, what's the house number that he's at? I have a call in.
139.
139 what? What is it, 13915? Okay. Ma'am, I'm trying to get the guy who did this, and I need to know where he is with the gun. Ma'am, they're coming. The police and the ambulance are on the way. Okay, well, they're coming. They're coming, lights and sirens, emergency. So where's the guy with the gun? Ma'am, where's the subject with the gun? I got 2 deputies on Brewski Downs right now, so I need to know where the guy with the gun is. They're both coming. The police need to secure the scene so the EMS people are safe. I need to know where the guy with the gun is. Okay, the person with the gun, where is he?
And it cuts off there. Was that, who hung up there?
She did.
Okay. Kind of what happened in that moment. You were a student here. All right, Judge, I don't have any further questions of this witness.
All right.
Okay, so we just heard the 911 calls again. We could talk about it at a later date. I don't know. It's a
Very
lot.
briefly. So this is 2 separate calls because you
I
have
can
the
be
first call,
insensitive
there was a hang up,
sometimes.
and then the person calls back. Is that
I
correct?
don't know.
Correct.
Okay.
It
Thank
be
you. I don't have
harsh
any other
sometimes
questions.
and critical.
All right. Is she released? All right, you could step down and you're released from your subpoena. Thank you. Call your next witness.
But to be fair to me, don't forget the defense has absolutely, from the opening statements, introduced the mom as a possible shooter. Okay? So I'm also listening to it from both sides. Like, okay, his defense is saying she shot him. I don't think the ex-wife would be sitting behind him. They didn't got a divorce. So I doubt that's the ex-wife.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, the defense has introduced the possibility that he didn't shoot him at all and that the wife did it. So I'm also listening from both sides to try to figure out for myself what I believe.
Morning. If you would please introduce yourself and spell your name for us.
I'm DeQuan Evans. First name Daquan, last name Evans.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Evans. If you could, where are you currently living?
I live in Ocala, Florida.
Back in 2022, in August of 2022, where were you living at that time?
I was staying off 13. Well, I can't remember the name of it, but I was down here in school as a student athlete in some condominium apartments.
What school were you going to?
University of South Florida.
Right, and you were a student at, what were you playing?
Football.
Right. And what are you doing now?
I'm a mentor for Wake Up Mentoring based out of Orlando, Florida.
All right. Now going back to August 22nd August 29th of 2022, you were a student here at USF, and were you living in the Heritage Club apartments?
Yes, sir.
All right. On that particular night, did something happen?
Yes, sir.
All right. What do you recall? When do you recall the first time knowing something was going on?
I heard like 4 or 5 shots.
All right. Where were you when you heard those shots?
In my house, in my room.
All right. And you described 4 or 5. Is that how many you thought you heard?
Yeah.
All right. What did you do upon hearing those shots?
Like back at home, I'm used to hearing those type of things going on, so I just reacted and made sure I was good in the house and just really stayed there until I heard, something else from my Ring camera. And I just went downstairs and ran into a lady.
How long after you heard these shots did you hear this or see this lady?
On my Ring camera, probably like next 5 to 10 minutes.
All right. Could it have been quicker than that or longer than that? Do you know?
No, I don't know.
All right. What did you do upon seeing this lady?
I went downstairs and she asked for help, basically for me to call, the officers. She asked for the address, and that's what I did.
All right. And were you in fact, the person who called 911?
Yes, sir.
All right. And it was your phone she was on during that conversation?
Yes, sir.
All right. How did she appear to you?
Like shocked, like she was lost the words a little bit.
All right. Now you mentioned a ring camera. So your building had a Ring camera at that point in time?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm gonna show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 7. Did you have a chance to look at this video?
Yes, sir.
All right. And this is a video, in fact, from your Ring camera on that night?
Yes, sir.
All right. And does this fairly and accurately depict kind of what happened in that moment, which was at your door?
Yes, sir.
All right. Judge moved out State's Exhibit number 7 admitted into evidence.
No objection.
It's admitted.
Yeah, publish, Your Honor.
Yes.
What is the address?
So that's all the Ring camera was able to record on that particular moment?
Yes, sir.
And that woman out there, that's the woman who you gave the phone to when you were talking to 911?
Yes, sir.
Now, you said on the 911 call that the shots were about 2 minutes before you called 911. Would that be about right?
Yes, sir.
After hearing those shots, calling 911 and seeing that lady out there, did you do anything else?
I went back to sleep.
Okay. And did you eventually talk to officers or detectives in the case?
That I can remember, I know a detective came back to my house, I think a couple of days later, and she got the Ring footage. That's
She
all.
got the Ring footage from you?
Yeah.
All right. Judge, let me have 1 moment.
Yes.
And just to be clear, you said you called 911 2 minutes after you hear these shots, or about that time.
Yes, sir.
Had you seen Shirley Williams before you called 911?
No, sir.
You called 911 first, and then you saw Miss Williams at the door, or how did the timing of it work?
No, after the Ring camera, then I called it for her.
Then you called?
Yeah.
So you'd seen her at the Ring door before, and then you called 911?
Yeah, when she asked.
Okay. And again, you described her as shocked?
Yeah,
All right, was she be able to communicate with you?
a little bit. That's for me to call 911. That's all I can remember.
All right, Judge, I don't have any further questions, Mr. Evans.
Right?
Good morning, Mr. Evans.
Come on.
Now, back in August of 2022, you were living at that Heritage Club Apartments.
Yes, ma'am.
How long had you lived there at that point?
Probably like a year.
Okay. And your schedule was pretty busy back then in the summer?
Yes, ma'am.
So it wasn't a situation where you would kind of hang out around the apartment or anything like that?
No, ma'am.
All of the places in that complex are all townhouses?
Yes, ma'am.
And you live there with a roommate?
Yes, ma'am.
Did your roommate ever come out or do anything when this happened?
No, ma'am. He was asleep.
Okay, so you were asleep also when you did hear the shots?
Yeah, once I heard him, I woke up.
Okay, and you said that you came downstairs, so your bedroom, I assume, is upstairs?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
And then you come downstairs and end up coming outside?
Yes, ma'am.
Did anyone come to your door, or was she there at your door as you were walking out?
Just when I opened, right there.
Okay. And the person that you saw that the state is describing as Shirley Williams, she wasn't someone that was known to you, right?
I don't know her at all.
Okay, so you didn't know that they lived across or anywhere that never had any contact with them?
No, ma'am.
The setup of the complex that you were at, your townhouse building, there would be like a couple of townhouses right next to each other.
Yes, ma'am.
And yours was, I believe, the second one or the first one?
Probably the second or third one, because it's in the middle.
Okay. And then there's like a walkway or a sidewalk, and then there's townhouses across from you, and you all face each other.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then if you were to come out of where your townhouse is and turn, that's the parking lot where you would be assigned a parking spot or whatever for your unit.
Yes, ma'am.
And then the parking spaces across from your parking space would be assigned to the units that are next to that.
Yes, ma'am.
And it almost forms like a T, right? Like you guys would be across from each other, and then there would be other townhouses that are kind of dead end from where you were.
Yes, ma'am.
And if you kept going past your townhouse, there would be like a pool and other units that way, right?
Yes, ma'am.
When you first came out, was there anyone else out there besides this woman?
Not that I remember.
Okay. And you end up being the one that first calls 911.
Yes.
And then as you're talking to the operator on 911, you end up handing the phone over to the female who came to your door.
That I can remember, yes.
Okay. And you don't have any other contact other than maybe at some point getting your phone back?
No, that's all.
Okay. So you go back to sleep. You don't know anything else about what happened?
No, ma'am.
And as far as this person appearing to be in shock or anything like that, you don't know her, but that was kind of your first impression of her demeanor at that time.
Yes, ma'am.
If I could have one moment.
Yes.
Nothing further.
Mr. Evans, just to clear something up, I misspoke and I called her Shirley Williams. Her name's Shirley Bass. Do you know Shirley Bass?
No, sir.
Okay, so when you saw that lady at your door, was that the first time you'd seen her?
Yes, sir.
All right. Had you ever spoken to her previous to that?
No, sir.
Did you ever speak to her after that?
No, sir.
All right, so that was the only time that you had ever seen Miss Bass?
Yes, sir.
All right. Nothing further, Judge.
All right. You can step down, sir. Thank you. He released from his subpoena?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Call your next witness.
State will call Deputy Scott Rainey. Coach, just for a second?
Sure.
Nobody heard that attorney poop. Nobody else heard that. Child, I'm confused. I'm confused. I'm confused.
Right here, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you, sir.
It sounded like it went to which. And he goes back to sleep after all that. He go back to sleep.
Good morning. If you would please
Wait,
introduce yourself and spell your name for us.
Wait. Let me tell y'all something. Let me tell y'all something. That's one of them situations where everybody else in the room would try to act like and ignore it, and I personally will bust out the fuck laughing. I would not be able to just ignore nothing. I'll bust out laughing. Do you hear me? Okay. Oh, pull it together, Demetri. Pull it together. Okay. On a side note, y'all, before we get back started, this is the first time my son had company over. He have his little best friend over here. Ain't that cute? Okay, let's continue.
Yes,
ma'am.
Trial watch with
Rainey,
Demetri. There's always something different.
Do you have a first name?
Scott.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. I'm just gonna remove all objections as to this witness.
All right.
Right, they just go to sleep, huh?
Deputy, how are you currently employed?
At the District 1 office as a patrol deputy.
All right. And you work for the sheriff's office?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been working with Hillsborough County?
15 years.
And what are your duties as a patrol deputy?
To answer calls when they come out, answer calls for service.
All right. And what was your position back on August the 29th of 2022?
I was an FTD,
And what does that mean?
a field training deputy that trains the new deputies as they come on.
All right. And who were you training at that time?
Deputy Rahman.
All right. And when you're training a deputy, do you work together with that deputy?
Yes, sir.
All right, so you all ride in the same car?
Yes, sir.
And you go to the same scenes together?
Yes, sir.
And if he has questions, does he ask you what to do?
Yes, sir.
All right. And how long had you been working with, who were you working with on that day? Who were you training?
Deputy Rahman.
All right. How long had you been training Deputy Roman?
There's different phases. We were in 4th phase at that point, which is a 2-week period, and we were on the 1st week.
Okay. And once he's done with that phase, does he go out on his own at that point?
Yes.
All right. So he was nearing the completion of his training at that
Yes.
time. All right. Deputy, what zone were you working back on August 29th of 2022?
Alpha 4.
And where is that zone, if you can explain to the jury where Alpha 4 is?
Alpha 4 is from Nebraska to Del Mabry and from Fowler up to Bears.
Okay. Does the Heritage Club apartments, did they fall within your zone?
No.
Okay. Why did you respond to the Heritage Club apartments on that night, or did you respond to the Heritage?
Yes, we responded because we were closer to the district that time, which is closer to where those apartments are. And because I had a recruit, that is a very good call for a recruit to go to.
Okay. So you can respond to other zones if there's an emergency and you need to go there?
Yes.
All right. And it happened to be that you were kind of close to that area at that time?
Correct.
All right. Where is this area, Heritage Club apartments located?
It's off of 37th Street.
I'm gonna, if you show me what time, I'll remember for you. Push that in. Send it, I got you, okay. I'm showing you what's already been admitted as State's Exhibit 26A for identification. And I'm gonna ask you to take a look behind you at the overhead, at the video. All right, do you see in there where Heritage Club Drive is, the location where this incident occurred?
Yes.
If you could, please, could you stand up and point to it and kind of describe it on the, so it can be on the record?
It's right here in this area.
Which is basically kind of the middle of the screen?
Correct.
And is there, and what's next to it? Is there like an identification tag? Or
As in the red
marker?
dot?
Yeah, red dot?
Yes.
Okay, and that's where the apartment was located that you went to on that day?
Correct.
And where is like Fletcher and Bruce B. Downs and USF and all that? Can you
Bruce
describe
B.
it?
Downs is over here, Fletcher is right along here, and this was at 37th Street I was talking about.
Okay. Right, and showing you what's marked as State's Exhibit number 26B that's previously been introduced into evidence. Is this the apartment complex we're talking about?
Yeah, yes, it is.
Back it up. All right, and can you tell kind of where you went on that particular day? Do I have it backwards, or how do I have the?
Can you spin it that way? Okay, yes, so this is again 37th Street right here.
Right.
And then when
On
you
the
go in-
left, on the left part of
Yes.
the,
On the left side right here.
thank you.
And then Fletcher would be down on the southern part, and Bruce B. Downs would be over on this side. He goes up and around.
All right, and where did you go in, and how did you enter into the scene?
We entered in on this right here, and then we went up, and into the actual apartment is up a little higher, up right here.
And you're pointing to the top part of the picture, to the building, like right in the middle of all those buildings.
Correct.
And that's the location of the apartment you all went to?
Yes,
on
sir.
On that particular evening?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, sir. You can go ahead and sit down. What did you believe you were responding to? What was the call about?
The call just went out as a shooting call, but it didn't give a lot of details. It didn't say, who was a victim or anything. It just said somebody was shot.
All right. Were you one of the first units to arrive on scene?
Yes, sir. There was approximately 4 of us that got there close to the same time.
Who were the other deputies who responded at the same time?
Deputy Jones, Deputy Rahman with me, and Deputy White.
Okay. Describe to the jury what you saw as you were driving up to the scene, and as far as the outside of the apartment.
There wasn't a whole lot outside, just, a lot of cars because it's an apartment complex. When we were going towards the apartment, getting close to the door, there was a female outside, and then, we went past her and went on inside to the apartment.
Well, was the female saying anything? How was she behaving?
She was saying something. I wasn't close to her. There was another deputy, I believe it was Deputy Jones, was already talking to her when we got there, and we went around another way and went to the door.
All right. And did you in fact enter the scene?
Yes, sir.
What did you see when you went into the residence?
When I went in, you immediately went into like a kitchen area to the left. There was a TV on the left side and a couch on the right side, and there was a gentleman sitting there holding a juvenile in his arms.
All right. And what did you do at that point?
At that point, we went up to him to see what was going on, and you could see blood on the juvenile's head. So we were trying to figure out where the blood was coming on, figure out what was going on, and had my recruit go out, get a med bag, and start, treating him.
Okay. And did you speak with this man?
Yes.
All right. And what did he tell you happened?
He told me that there was an accidental discharge, and the gun went off and hit the child.
All right. Did you know about another child upstairs?
Not at that time, no.
Okay. When did you first hear about the other child upstairs?
When Deputy White came downstairs and said that there was another victim upstairs.
Had the defendant, Mr. Bass, ever said anything to you about this other victim upstairs?
No.
All right. Did you ever go upstairs?
At one point, I did go upstairs. I got up to the top of the stairs. I was able to see that there was enough deputies up there treating the other child, so I went right back downstairs.
Were you wearing a body-worn camera on that day?
Yes.
All right. Explain to the jury what a body-worn camera is, how it works.
So a body-worn camera is the camera for a normal call that you go to, you have to turn it on yourself, but anytime like we pull out our weapon, turn on your taser, turn your lights on your car, it automatically comes on, but we use it every single call we go to, we turn it on. And it records everything. It can see everything we see, it sees.
Are you in fact wearing a body-worn camera right now?
Yes.
Can you point it out and show it to the jury where it's located?
It's right here.
The record reflect he's standing up and identifying like a black box in the center of his chest.
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's already been introduced as State's Exhibit number 2. Did you in fact review this?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And is this in fact a copy of the body-worn camera you were wearing on that day?
Yes.
All right. And does it fairly and accurately depict what you saw when you arrived on scene?
Yes.
All right, Judge, I'm going to publish it now.
Nobody else is in the house. Hey, can you two go to help him? Get clear up here. Alright, paramedics are coming right now.
Oh, please, now.
What happened? What happened? What happened?
The gun is shot. Gun is
Okay, okay. Somebody got a med bag. Get a med bag.
Oh, God, no. Please, hurry.
They're coming. They're coming. 52 on EMS.
Hey, can you hear me?
They're here. They're coming. They're coming. Yeah, they already cleared upstairs. We cleared it upstairs.
It's okay. It's okay.
Not yet. Hang in there, buddy. Come on, hang in there. He said it was an accidental discharge.
Thank you.
46 station, number 1025, and the house is clear. Okay, on. Out 47, be advised, there's another gunshot victim upstairs. It's a juvenile female. Yes, 10-4. How did the accidental discharge happen? What happened?
It was going, I was...
From you or somebody else?
I was trying to take out the magazine and it went off.
Alright, we'll get it figured out. Just stay calm for now. What happened upstairs?
Nothing happened upstairs. You have those two,
Hey, So you're up to make sure you check that. Okay. Got you. Is she breathing? Where's the doctor now? He's upstairs on the dress on top of it. Or in the dress? One top of the dress. Where is she'll be in the dress, in that silver dress. So the middle of the match. Okay. You gonna go check them? Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. What's the one upstairs? And what's upstairs? It's worse upstairs. Okay. Adult? No, juvenile, female. Okay. Take this one to the rescue. Two juvenile. Stay right where you're at. Stand up for me real quick. I'm just gonna pat you down for weapons, please. Look on your head. Just put them on your head. On your head. There you go. Turn around for me. You got nothing on you right now. You got something on the side of the head or his head? Left side of his head. All right, have a seat. You're good. Yep. You're coming down now. When you have 4-year-old. Where at? So you're saying that whatever happened to him, is that your son? Both of those are my kids. Both of those are your kids. So it accidentally discharged and hit your son. What happened to your daughter upstairs? The same thing. They was both in the bed together. Just one round? They were both in the bed together? Yes. I think our range in the way. You're saying both kids were in the bed together and you were in their room? I was in there. Out 47, the father's saying that he shot both of them with one round. That's the gun went off. So nobody else was in this house, just you and them? Me, my wife. And your wife? Where was she at? She was in her room. She was in her room? I went to the window. We're going to be ready. Yeah.
Deputy, was Mr. Bass eventually taken into custody at that point?
Yes, sir.
All right. Did you have any further involvement in this case?
No, sir.
May I have one moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
Judge, I'll pass the witness.
All right.
Yeah, I think we was all in shock. This is ridiculous. On so many levels.
How are you?
Good, ma'am.
I only have a couple additional questions
Yes,
for you.
ma'am.
All right, so when you entered the home, you saw Mr. Bass sitting on the couch cradling his son, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you could see that his son, JJ, had been injured.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And there was actual blood that was bleeding from JJ onto the father, Mr. Bass, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And throughout your contact with Mr. Bass, he was cooperative with you, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And we heard on the body cam he was yelling such stuff as, "Just help my child." Do you remember hearing that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. At some point, you are talking to him, and he says something about the gun being on the dresser. But then later, do you recall he does in fact say on or in the silver dresser?
I remember him saying on the dresser. I think some other deputies were coming in and out and trying to say we still haven't found it yet, but I don't recall that part.
That's okay. So do you believe then that at some point that he says on, but then does say it's in the silver dresser?
It's a possibility, yes.
All right. Other deputies body cams?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And it's you, Deputy White is there, Deputy Jones, and you are training Deputy Rahman, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. He also indicates that his wife was there as well. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Judge, may we approach the bench?
Yes.
So yeah, this trial just started today. And after I finished my first live, I just so happened to see it in my notifications. And I was like, what? I wasn't aware of this trial. I hadn't been keeping up with the news stories about it. So it's totally something brand new to me. And it's just started day one. So we about 4 or 5 hours behind. Now I will be following this trial. This is going to be my daytime content, y'all. The free I'm gonna keep them. We'll pick back up on that. But that's in between trials. That content. Tomorrow we will be picking this trial back up, which means I'm gonna have to try to be here for 10, but I won't be any later than 11. Okay. But this being in Florida, they're an hour before us, ahead of me. So by the time I come on, between 10 and 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, by the time I come on, we'll be able to fast forward through the breaks. Okay, but yeah, this trial just starting, and if you're just coming in, this is the father, Jermaine Bass. He's the only one I know that got any charges. They said in the opening statements on something that the wife has filed and been granted a divorce, so they're not married anymore. You know, and the defense, during their opening statement, they did allude to the fact that the mother may be the shooter. And that is the defense that they putting forth. Did he really shoot him? How we know who shot him? So very interesting already. What's the name of it? O'Celia or something like that. Whatever that. Ocala, something like that. They said.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Judge.
Oh. Little nappy beard. Little peanut head.
I did take a break.
All rise.
Ain't trusting a little peanut head man. Exactly. Murdoch will be our nighttime trial. So really, we just finna go another 30 minutes right now. And then I go ahead and get off of here, catch me a little break, so I can be back at 7. It may be 7:30, but I'll schedule it so I can have time to cook and stuff. But it's definitely starting tonight. And because it's the trials, I will be scheduling them. Okay? We start the Murdoch trial tonight.
All right, have a seat. Do you want to bring him back in and go ahead and do those?
And don't forget, it's always going to be playlists. So I'm going to start a playlist starting with this video. It's going to be called the Bedtime Murderers. That's what they call in this case. And then I'll start a playlist for the Murdoch trial watch. There's always playlists in case you miss something. Not gargling.
All right, the record should reflect the jury is not present. Go ahead.
Thank you,
Oh,
Judge.
they outside the jury.
Just state your name again so we know who's testifying.
Deputy Scott Rainey.
Okay. Now, Deputy Rainey, when you arrived, your body cam started about 10:44. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you originally asked what happened, and Mr. Bass indicated the gun discharges, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Then within the pretty much the same time limit at, let me step back, 5:37, you're stepping in and you asked, and he says gun discharges, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sorry about that. About 6:15 on the audio, a deputy is heard saying, "We got another one up here." Do you remember that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it sounds like it's pretty quickly on that you and other deputies determined that there is another victim upstairs, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, at some point, I see you, I believe you to be walking outside.
Why the jury
And
can't
you
get
must be talking to like other deputies on your radio?
To dispatch.
Dispatch?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Is that like a separate from your body cam, or how do you do that?
That's connected to your radio, yes. So dispatch calls through, but the camera can hear and still everything that's being said, yes.
Okay. Now, at this point, before you do that, Mr. Bass has only made the statement that the gun discharged, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then, in fact, when you step outside, correct me if I'm wrong, I hear you say, the house is clear, and then you say, somebody says something, and then you're saying, yeah, we know about the second victim. Do you remember that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. At that point, at some point, when have you might be doing other stuff, you walk back in, and that's where you get more specific with Mr. Bass concerning,
I moved
tell
short
me
piece
more
so y'all can
about
see my full
this,
cash out.
who did it, how did it happen, where were you, where are the kids? Fair?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, you testified in a deposition, Mr. Thierry and I were present and we asked you some questions, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you had an opportunity to review that before you testified today?
Yes, ma'am.
Excellent, okay. Now, let me ask you this. You decided that at a certain point, Miranda needed to be read, correct?
Yes.
Okay, if jury's not here, we can talk about it. And you had, I believe, Deputy Rahman do that since he's in training.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I had asked you in deposition, what made you decide that point? And do you remember telling me, and is it your testimony today, that you were getting information that the house was clear and that you had determined or y'all knew there was a second victim? Is that correct?
Yes,
What she
ma'am.
talk get on my nerves already.
Once you knew that, you knew the house was clear, and you knew that there was a second victim, that's afterwards when you walk back in and you have conversation more specifically with Mr. Bass for a little bit of time, maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3 minutes, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then at a later time, Deputy Rahman reads Miranda.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, let me ask you,
wonder why this
when
can't be up in
you
here.
had stepped out, you knew the house was clear, and you had said, we could hear it, the house is clear, house is fine, there's a second victim upstairs. Is it not true that Mr. Bass was not free to leave at that point?
You could look at it that way, yes.
And in fact, do you remember testifying in deposition to that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You remember being at the motion to suppress, where we all kind of agreed to the judge who had your deposition that you said when you had those 2 factors, you had not read Miranda and Mr. Bass was not free to leave, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you're admitting you're asking him questions?
I don't remember asking many questions after he was read Miranda.
Yeah, no, sir. I'm talking about before, sorry about that. You're asking him specific questions.
At that point, I didn't tell him he wasn't free to leave yet, no.
No, I understand. What I'm saying is, after you get the information that the house is clear and you get the information there's a second victim, you go back inside, you're asking him additional questions, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The questions as we've discussed, and it's at that point he said he basically did it, he was cleaning the gun, etc.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. Sorry about that, we're talking a little bit earlier. All right. May I have just a moment?
Yeah, just a moment. So,
Thank you so much, Deputy.
Did you want anything on the record from you?
No, Your Honor.
All right, you can step down, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Is he released from his subpoena now?
He's not judge.
All right, you're to remain on
free to leave.
standby, but you can
Yes.
leave the courthouse.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. All right, we'll be in recess.
okay, so we'll stop right here. Okay, hold on. Okay, we're gonna stop right here at, what is this, 4 hours and 52? Let me write this down. 52. Okay, so this is where we're gonna pick up tomorrow on witness number 4. So far, we heard from the 911 dispatcher. We heard from the neighbor who went back to sleep after he made the 911 call. We just heard from a first responder. We saw a body cam. This trial is moving kind of fast. It started 8 hours ago. It looks like they finished for the day. They finished. So this is where we're going to pick up tomorrow morning. I will schedule it as soon as I wake up. I'll schedule it because as soon as I wake up, I know whether I'm going live at 10 or 11 But with trials like this, I really do try to come on for 10. So hey, I ain't gotta come on camera. So I'm gonna come on for 10. I'm gonna try to come shoot for 10, no later than 11. If I'm dressed and ready to go, we'll be on the vertical since this is a new trial. Court TV had 4.5 thousand people watching it. So hopefully we're gonna have some new Lit Lane jury members start coming through here. We're gonna have to follow this. We just gotta follow this trial, right? So I hope to see you guys tomorrow morning for this one. I will get a little side stuff done. What else I want to say? And I shall see you guys. We've had a full busy court day, but we have night court tonight starting the murder trial. Okay, now the murder trial is a slow burn. We just take our time getting through that big case. We'll be here at no later than 7:30 tonight. 7 is the time. It may be 7:30 if I find myself still cooking and what have you for these boys, but I will be here tonight to start that trial. Okay, all right. Until we meet again, court is adjourned.
Thanks for watching. Do not forget click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon. Like, comment and share. See you next time.